Good morning, everyone. Today, I'd like to welcome Peter Batten, the Managing Director of Haranga Resources, with ASX ticker code HAR, Hotel Alpha Romeo, a seasoned geologist with over 40 years of global experience in mineral exploration and project development. Under Peter's leadership, Haranga has recently expanded into the United States with the acquisition of the Lincoln Gold Project in California's legendary Mother Lode gold belt. This strategic move gives Haranga control over a super high-grade historic gold district, positioning the company for near long-term production and significant growth. Good morning, Peter. How are you today?
Thank you.
Excellent. Well, look, I'm very excited. I want to dive straight in with you. So can you give an overview for our viewers and our members who may not be familiar with Haranga Resources? Can you start with some quick introduction of the current of your company and your current focus?
Okay. Haranga Resources is, as you've already mentioned, ASX listed. So we're an Australian public company. We are a mineral resource company and we're an exploration company up until this point. Our projects have been targeted or located in West Africa, and we currently have two projects in Senegal in West Africa.
Okay.
We have the Soraya uranium project and we have the Ibel South gold project. And we're currently drilling the Ibel South gold project, but West Africa suffers from the wet season when it's very difficult to operate in the field, and Haranga has long been looking for a project to fill in the space. And this gold project in California came across our desk, and we were very surprised at the potential of it, and we were very excited to be able to pick it up.
Right. And look, this project, I am told, it sits on one of the richest sections of the legendary Mother Lode region. So could you elaborate on the significance of its location and its history and a little bit about like the grade that everyone's been talking about?
Okay. Well, the Mother Lode is extremely famous, particularly in the US. If you in California, the the 49ers, which is a football team, the San Francisco 49ers, is the 49 refers to 1849, the
Okay.
year, and that is the year of the gold rush, the
Right.
Motherload gold rush. So
Mm-hmm.
that's how important it is. Also, their mascot is Sourdough Sam, and that's because sourdough is supposed to have started on the Motherload gold.
Okay.
So it's a 198 kilometre long structural corridor
Mm-hmm.
that hosts numerous gold mines, and it's produced about 35 million ounces historically. Now, within that 198 kilometre long belt, the richest 25% of that belt was the Jackson-Plymouth part, and we are within the Jackson-Plymouth, and we hold 5.8 kilometres of permits within that Jackson-Plymouth zone. Produced 8 million. The license we have, the historic mines and the historic production from our licenses was 3.4 of that 8.4. So the grades are very good. The average grade for the whole of the belt was about 9 grams per tonne.
Mm-hmm.
And our project, when we successfully acquire it, comes with an NI 43101 non-compliant resource of 286,000 ounces at 9.3 grams per tonne. Now, that grade is high because they use a high cutoff. So the resource is non-compliant because it was completed in 2015. In
Mm-hmm.
2015, that resource was compliant. But with the
Sure.
changes in the rules for NI 43101s, it is now non-compliant.
Sure.
But at that time, gold was around $1,400 an ounce, and they used
Mm-hmm.
a lower cutoff of 4.1. With gold over $3,000 an ounce now, the generally accepted lower cutoff for underground mining is about 1.5. So what we will do is we will bring that resource into compliance,
Mm-hmm.
and while we're doing that, we will use more relevant factors to estimate the volumes that we have, and we expect that will grow our resource. Just that one thing.
Tremendous. So if I got this right, you're telling me that originally, like your grade is 9.3. The original compliant cutoff was about 4.3. Is that what you said?
4.1 lower cutoff,
4.1.
yes.
And then
Yep.
also previously there was another, the average grade, or what you were suggesting was like in the ones as well. So you're basically
So
6X.
the average grade for the whole belt, the
Right.
whole 198 kilometres. So it's a very rich system.
Exactly. And just to give an overview, thank you so much for the storytelling about and giving us some context around the Motherload and the history of the US and the gold rush. And just a bit of history around that is that in San Francisco, during the gold rush in 1849, it's also the reason why now San Francisco has the largest Chinatown outside of China because of
Yes.
the immigration that's happened over that century.
Yeah, I read that recently at one of the local mining museums. The people where we are based
Yep.
are multi-generational miners, and they're very proud miners. And so there's a lot of the tourism in the area relates to their historic mining, and there isn't that fact about the large Chinatown is actually is it's uh, published on the and displayed on the walls of the museum.
Yeah, it's very special to my heart. So I want to segue back into this now. So I guess, what made Lincoln mine such a compelling acquisition target for Haranga? Because if I'm not mistaken, I was also doing some research. You had some previous history, or you flirted with uranium before segueing back into gold.
Yeah, look, we do have a very good uranium project in Senegal, and
Hmm.
we're still working on that. And
Okay.
as I mentioned, we also had a gold project in Senegal, and
Hmm.
it's on the Birimian volcanics, which is a set of geology that hosts about 40 million ounces in the district between Mali and Senegal, and there are four foreign-owned gold mines in the area. We're actually drilling there at the moment. But what
Hmm.
um, when this came across our table, we had a look at it and did the technical due diligence. As you said, I'm a geologist, and what we kept seeing that this was a very robust set of numbers. What's not known about this is that the Lincoln Comet was only discovered in the 80s.
Sure.
So most of the underground mines, the historic mines that exist on the Mother Lode,
Mm.
were discovered when they finished panning in the creeks and the rivers, and they moved back up the hills looking for where the gold was sourced. They came across quartz outcrops. They
Yeah.
sampled the quartz outcrops, and where they got gold, they drove on the gold. Our deposit doesn't outcrop. So in the 1980s, it was discovered from an arsenic anomaly, a soil anomaly, and then they blind drilled it. So it's never been mined, but there's been a
Okay.
lot of money spent on the project, and we've got over 34,000 meters of drilling in our
Hmm.
database,
Hmm.
and we have an 880-meter long decline in place. We have 900 meters of level development in
Hmm.
the mine, and we have a purposed mill, and we're fully permitted to go into production, but it's never gone into production. It's the number of trials have gone through, but it's never actually gone into production. So this project is brand new in a historic field that has mountains of potential. Our drilling in our project only goes to 150 metres deep.
Hmm.
Yet within our licenses, our deepest mine is 1.4 kilometres deep. And then within the Jackson-Plymouth zone, the deepest mine is over 2 kilometres deep. So the depth of our 286,000 ounces is it's less than 10% of the potential depth extension that exists there. That's one area of potential. Another area of potential is that most of the mines in this area, and it's true for the whole of the Motherlode, did not stop because they were mined out.
Hmm.
There was a legislative move in 1942 to
Sure.
stop non essential work, and redirect the workforce to defence work, either ammunitions, making material, or joining the armed forces. A number of the mines never reopened because they flooded. And they came back. Gold was $35 an ounce after World War II, and it was whether you want to go to the trouble of dewatering the mine and going down and start mining at $35 an ounce. It's a different world now. And so we have that potential, and we know that with a number of the adjacent mines to us, there is material that is still there that has never been mined. It was in the old mine plans, but there's been no mining after the date of the mine plan. So we know that that material still exists. That's another level of potential. Then outside of our permits, there are other pieces of ground that have got known resources but are not being worked. So there's even greater potential. And that's what we saw when we did our due diligence. That's what made it most attractive. Technically, this is a very attractive, very robust project, and 286,000 ounces is just the start.
That is a compelling, attraction point. So I guess what I want to know is now that you've highlighted all this potential at Lincoln, I mean, what are your plans to actually unlock this potential in the near term?
Well, as I have mentioned, or I hope that I got the message across, the resource that we discuss is non-compliant.
Yes.
So we have to be a little bit careful about that. But the first thing we need to do is to bring that into compliance.
Yep.
So we're planning a 2,500 metre underground drilling program, and most of that drilling will be to bolster the information in our database, to bring it into the quality assurance and quality control measures up to spec, test some of the historic drilling. We've just completed a process of assessing some of the assays and some of the samples that they put in, resampling them, and then the intention is to bring that resource into compliance. Now, as I said, the current accepted lower grade cutoff for underground mines at over $3,000 an ounce gold price is about 1.5 grams per tonne. So we expect that when we apply that to our 286,000 ounces at 9.3, we will end up with something like 400,000 ounces at a lower grade. Now, that's we don't have any to show that will happen, except some of our modelling that we did during due diligence. But the expectation is that the volume of ounces will grow, but the head grade will drop. So from 9.3, we still think that we will have above 5, which is still a very healthy underground grade. In conjunction with the drilling, as I said, we just completed a 200 sample resampling program. That's to test the veracity of the previous assay. We reported recently, ASX, and those results were very good. At the lower grades, we get extremely close correlation, but it is a high-grade nuggety deposit. And so we do get swings and roundabouts at the upper ends of the grades. But what we've shown through that 200 sample process is that they even out. So if one grade, two assays for the 1 metre, one's up, one's down, the next assay will even out. So over an intercept in the drilling, they are still robust and reliable numbers.
Tremendous. And now, look, I want to, for the viewers and the members who may not be aware, I mean, you've discussed that it's currently non-compliant, which is the NI 43101 resource. So basically, what you're saying is that, you know, we're asking, how are you going to turn the North American reporting standard into the Australian version, which is the JORC compliant resource? Am I getting that correct, Peter?
Well, NI 43101 and JORC are very similar in their requirements, and we would be reporting in JORC.
Okay, good.
We could get it signed off as a NI 43101. We just would need someone who is a competent person in that area to do that. That's part of the drill program. While we're also drilling, what we'll be looking for is depth extensions. so that we can say, here we go, this is what we have. Our 286,000 ounces becomes whatever it becomes.
Mm-hmm.
But not only that, we've discovered, we've tested down, and we can show that there's the current resource either extends at depth, or there is another zone, another repeat of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I mentioned that we know from historic reports that there is material left in the neighbouring mine.
Mm-hmm.
We're hoping that we'll be able to come up with enough information in that to be able to bring that into a publicly announceable number. And we think that at the end of the first program, we will be able to demonstrate how we're going to take this resource from 286,000 ounces to a
Excellent.
million ounces.
So you have a pathway, you have a strategy, and you have like a known way to execute on this.
Yep.
Perfect. Now, look, Lincoln comes with extensive infrastructure and full permitting already in place. So how does this position you to move quickly towards production?
Part of the due diligence when we went in there was to determine the legislation that we were operating in, and
Mm-hmm.
we were quite surprised, taken by surprise, that it's a more simple system than Western Australia. Environmentally, we don't have any issues, and the only areas that are a concern of the government are air and water, and
Mm-hmm.
we don't put anything into the air, so we don't have anything to do there. And with the water, we just have to make sure that no water leaves the premises.
Got it.
That does not sit within the standards set by the state board, the Regional Water Quality Control Board. And this mine has been in operation, operated as a tourist mine for 7 years, and the dewatering was going all that time. And they operated within the requirements of the government. So there's no problem in doing that, and that is all set up to do. So
Mm-hmm.
then we have what's called a conditional use permit, a CUP. The
Mm-hmm.
CUP is the equivalence of a mining license anywhere else, and it comes with a set of conditions. As long as we operate within those conditions, we can go into production tomorrow.
Okay.
Well, so I say tomorrow, once we have got the Water Quality Control Board on board, and we just have to notify the people, but we're permitted to go into operation already.
That's exciting. And so I guess in terms of timelines, then, like, I guess the next part I was going to ask is what is the next, like, milestones and key timelines our investors should watch as you, progress towards production and then monetizing?
Yeah, well, the timeline's quite compacted, and it's an exciting but very busy time for us. As
Mm-hmm.
I said to you earlier, maybe we're just finalising the acquisition of this
Yes.
project. Once it is in our grubby little hands, we will start dewatering. Dewatering will take a little while, and then it's about 4 weeks after we start dewatering, we
Mm-hmm.
should be able to get the drill started. So about 4 weeks after dewatering, we hope to start the drill program. Drill program will take about 3 months. That will
Mm-hmm.
not only hopefully, the end result of that will be a new mineral resource estimation,
Mm-hmm.
JORC compliant, but also being able to point towards where we're going to see the million ounces in our project. We will then devise the next drill program, and that will be to prove up a million ounces, and that will be so that we can start working on a mine plan and a development plan. There are a number of issues that need to be discussed in that, but as I said, at the moment, everything is in place. All of the permits are there. We need to update the permits. It's
Okay.
not an onerous task. Uh, so that by the end of the year, we hope to have the MRE. Early next
Mm-hmm.
year, we hope to start the next drilling program. First half of the year,
Mm-hmm.
we will be talking about the development,
Okay.
and then in the second half of next year, we're expecting that a decision will be made on taking it into or the next stage, which might be in production. But that's the timeline. So I mean, It reminds me, as I said, I'm old, and it reminds me of the early days in the eastern goldfields of Western Australia when we could get a gold mine up and running in 12 months from scratch, with
Mm,
all fully permitted and within the rules. You can't do that anymore. I mean, it takes 2 years to get your permits, and then you have to get your permissions. But this is like that. We can go as fast as we want, or as fast as
mhm.
we can with the money that we have, and then so it depends on who you talk to, but a lot of people are putting their money on Donald Trump keeping the gold price above $3,000 an ounce. And if he
Yep.
does that, this thing is a very it's not a big beautiful bill. It might be a big beautiful project.
Wonderful. So it sounds like this is a very compressed timeline and they're bankable timelines, and we could probably even see production by early 2027, given the fact you said it's about 12 months lead up time.
Yes, those are all possible.
Yep,
It depends on what we find at the end of the drill bit.
of course. Okay. I mean, look, you said it before I was going to talk about it, is about the gold prices. You know, it's currently around 3,300 US dollars per ounce. I mean, I guess, how do you see this current market supporting your development plans and the economics of Lincoln? Because, okay, 3,300 times 286,000 ounces, or potential 1 million. Is that what you discussed earlier?
Yeah, we so as I said, we have limits on our CUP, and we would be restricted to 315,000 tonne per annum. That's on our current CUP.
Mm-hmm.
So if we, depending on what we get the grade to, that puts us at about 60,000 ounces a year.
Yep.
And if you, this thing makes money even at $1,500 an ounce, and it makes good
Okay.
money at that.
So
So
the
anything
economics makes
above that,
sense even at 50% of the current market
yeah,
price.
yeah, absolutely. And anything above that, it is making very good money. And then if you go over $3,000 an ounce, is
Mm.
making it makes exceptional money. But that's all back of the envelope. We haven't done a feasibility study. That's all based on our due diligence work.
Mm-hmm.
And but the resource was done in 2015, and the gold price then was $1,400 an ounce, and costs have come up. But even if you double the cost of production, then this
Mm-hmm.
thing still makes good money at these prices.
Excellent. And look, you recently, I know, let's come into the money aspect. We know you recently raised $6 million to fully fund this acquisition and the initial work program. I mean, how do you intend on allocating these funds? And what's your approach and your discipline to managing capital needs going forward?
Good question. One of the issues that we have is that this is an existing mine and it has a decline. Um, that needs to be, if we want, we have to place, we have to have people on site to maintain safety standards, and
Mhm.
therefore it is an expensive operation for an exploration play. The money that we have now is to fully fund both our West African projects. As I said, Ibil South is drilling now, that's fully funded, and to complete this first drill program up to the end of the mineral resource estimate. At that stage, we expect that we'll be required to go back to the market to fund the second part of this. So we're expecting that to be later this year or early next year.
Okay, but in terms of, I mean, talk to me a little bit about your finance team and the discipline and the talent that you've got driving this forward, because cash is king right now, right?
Yeah, cash is king, but we're not going to get anywhere if we don't put it in the ground. The discipline that we have is to try and get as much of this, as much as the money that we have in the bank, in the
Hmm.
ground and producing results. We don't want to be sitting on it and just burning it slowly as can do. We run a very, very small team,
Good.
and corporately, we are very small. So there's just myself as an executive. We have an executive in Senegal
Sure.
looking after that, and then we have just appointed a general manager of exploration for California.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have three full-time employees on site. You could have 5, but we're keeping it down to a minimum. During the drilling, we'll go up to at least 5 employees. And then, so every opportunity to keep the costs down, we're trying to take. This thing comes with a lot of infrastructure, and so we're able to use that so that we're not burning excess capital. We're not going to need hotels when we go over and work there. All of our employees are local, so we're not have to pay for expat housing or anything like that. So we're using the local people to do the job in their own town. That's a cost saving in that. And, you know, we're a small team, small corporate team, one corporate executive, that's it. So, yeah, we are very tight on the money, and we try to get the money into the ground as we can.
Thank you very much, Peter. Look, finally, you know, you've given me a roadmap on how you see this playing out over the next 12 to 18 months. But I do want to know, I mean, how will you benchmark success if we were to talk to each other again in another 12 months?
Benchmark success would be that we have maybe not proven 1 million ounces, but we have certainly shown that it is there, and that we have significant resources to populate a 10-year mine plan, and that we have also identified the following 10 years from that. So that would be success. We think that the potential of this is not known at this point, and it is because we can see behind the scenes in the historic reports and in the district what is still available in the area. We're the first people there looking at it for a long time, and we hope that we'll be able to benefit from that. So we're hoping that this will be a very significant project for us going forward, and in 12 to 24 months' time, we hope that the world will see that it's a very significant project in the gold industry.
Thank you, Peter. Well, look, after this call, let's diarise this call for another 12 months' time. Now, Peter, so if we have any questions from any of our investors or members or viewers, I'll get them to email it to me, info@eastcoastresearch.com.au or sharesinvalue, info@sharesinvalue.com.au, and we'll forward them onto your team to respond. Is that okay with you?
Fine.
Tremendous. Thank you so much for your time, Peter. We'll see you next time.
Okay. See ya.
Thank you.